Episode 6, Something Worth Fighting For, Our Hopes. Welcome to Episode 6 of Happy Mind Travel, where I continue the topic of hope. Happy Mind Travel is an inspiring podcast exploring with you the power of psychology-based practices and spiritual exercises across time and space, helping you gain mental strength and making your life happier. As always, we hunt for the materials, and it's on your part to implement those strategies and enjoy to be happy. Everybody wants a glimpse of the future. Do you want to learn how to interpret definition cards and how they relate to your psyche? Join me on Instagram at Happy Mind Travel, where I provide daily spirituality tips and share with you unique ways of putting psychology and spirituality into place together so that you could change your life. Hey folks, I'm your host Pauline. Thanks for joining me again in Happy Mind to Travel. Last week, we talked about hope in the psychological way. We'll make a slight twist this week on what we've learned, adding in the spirituality flavor to it. If you think clearly about hope, you will probably notice the same thing just like me. Are hope all about goals and achievement? I think hope is more than that, and I bet you think so too. Spirituality, relationships, our childhood experiences, whom we look up to, and what hides deep within us, they all build up our hope foundation. And today, we will take a more integrated look at hope. If you're ready to dive in with me, then go to ourhappymindtravel.com/morehope to find out more resources. So are you ready for today's adventure? Happy Mind Travelers, let's start our mind travel. Today, I'm exploring with you what hope means to you for your life and how can you build a firm ground for hope to flourish. Hope is like a seed. You plant a seed for it to grow someday into a flower with fruit. A seed would need air, sunlight, warmth, water, and nutrients to grow into a healthy plant. If you miss any of those, it won't be able to survive. If you remember the science lessons you had in which you need to take out one survival element for the plant, be it sunlight, be it warmth or water, you will know what I mean. And hope is just like that. If you want to build a hopeful personality, you can't just focus on goal attainment. You cannot just focus on achieving your personal goals. Goals attainment is only one aspect of hope. There is so much more for hope to grow and stay firm against adversities. We can say hope is an expectation, a desire for something to happen. If you look up the dictionary, you'll find that hope also means a feeling of trust. Hope is an emotion that builds upon layers of life experiences. It touches upon so many life topics that we might overlook or even undermine their impact on us. So to start untangling hope, I have a simple question for you. Not a philosophical one like previous episodes, don't worry. And the question is, have you watched or heard about the story of Beauty and the Beast? I hope it's a big yes from you, and I bet it's. If you haven't, at least find the original story of it. Now, we all know this story or this movie is all about not judging people's personality by their appearance. And it also talks about appreciating the true beauty within us, within people, because true beauty comes from within. Of course, these are great lessons. But I'm sure every time when you reread a book or you rewatch a movie, at different stages of life or time points, you will have a totally different feeling about the same thing. So when I was thinking last week, what should I talk about in this week's Hope topic? I just rewatched the movie Beauty and the Beast once more yesterday. The one by Emma Watson and Dan Stevens. And I have another feeling for this movie. I remember the scene when the Beast looked at his rose vial and saw another petal fell again. The look in his eyes is just makes you feel his emotion, his hopelessness. The whole story is about hope, from hopelessness to hope. And if you're in that situation, just imagine yourself. If someone turned you into a beast, if you become the beast, there's really little hope that you could muster. And the most poignant moment is when the narrator says, as the years passed, he, the beast, fell into despair and lost all hope. For who could ever learn to love a beast? And sometimes we just face problems that seem impossible to solve, just like the one in the beast. Situations that seem impossible to turn around. And we might have fought for ourselves for some time, but when we feel so alone in this journey and the situation seems so uncontrollable, like what the beast faced in the movie or in the story, hope could dissipate slowly and generate this sense of hopelessness. We can say, yeah, the beast had a goal. He had to learn how to love and earn the love back so he and his servants could become human again. He could, using the hope theories that I talked about last week, the beast could set numerous sub-goals. He could set deadlines or time points, signposts for himself to achieve those goals. But what he faced was not something he could solve himself alone. It's about a relationship. It's about his beliefs. It's about his limiting beliefs. It's about his deep-rooted beliefs. And what about how much trust he had for people around him? In Belle, not to mention the expectation that someone would willingly come into that castle. There's a lot going on here, and before hope even develops, he had to handle his fear of loss, fear of grief, fear of trauma, all kinds of fear that hinders the growth of hope. And towards the middle of the movie, the seed of hope in the beast starts to grow. It starts to change in him. The spark of his life began to ignite. He started to have hope. And it's not because he had a well-implemented plan. It's not a task. You cannot frame it as a task for some experiences in life, but rather is his trust in Belle, his trust in his servants, his trust in himself, most important, that there's a gentle heart within him, behind his beastly appearance. His attachment and love felt along his transformational journey. The relationships, the trust that he has built with others make him experience hope and true happiness, which in the end reward him and makes him human again. Beauty and the Beast story reminds us that hope, it's not a gift that just falls from the sky. At times it needs to be nurtured. In fact, it needs to be nurtured, developed, and taken care of so that we could have a hopeful attitude, so that we could bring out that hopeful expression in us over the course of our lives. And we could train our hope, quote unquote, hope muscle in so many different ways. Now, if you feel like nothing works for you, whether it's a project, whether it's a relationship, whether it's your career or anything else, and you have somewhat lost hope in a situation, then Dr. Anthony Scholey's research on hope may be the answer for you. Dr. Anthony Sholey is a pioneer in studying hope with an integrative approach. He is a clinical psychologist. His notion is that there is a hope blueprint. When a person handles well 3 human motives, which he called mastery, attachment, and survival, which I'll talk about a little later in this episode, then a solid ground of hope foundation will be formed, and we will be more likely to express hope in different forms. His belief is that the area of exploration and adaptation, which is mastery, the area of love, that is attachment, and the area of coping, which he refers to survival. I mean, these 3 areas to him are the basic cornerstones for our hope to survive and develop. And there are different levels in each area we need to reach in order to remain hopeful over the course of our lives. From the support we gain from other people to our personality development, from a sense of resiliency to the emergence of faith, and eventually to expressions of hope in the forms of actions, thoughts, and feelings. And across all these levels, your spiritual beliefs will interfere with how hopeful you are as a person. It's a big picture of hope, and you can find its detailed hopeful blueprint in the show notes page. To put things simple, we have the need to explore the environment right from the start of our infancy. We need to explore the environment. We need to connect with people around us, with our loved ones, to survive alongside tension and stress. And all these needs will lead us encounter difficult times, danger, and even perilous situations. All these needs expose us to develop and at the same time might destroy our hopes. And in order to nurture and sustain the hope in us, we build loving relationships with others. We develop a healthy faith system, not necessarily a religious belief, but it means connecting with something larger than ourselves, like the universe, like our higher selves or entities you think who are, or not necessarily who, but entities that you think are balancing the force of the world. If faith is not there, then hope cannot be found. So what we can do here is to find the obstacles we have at different levels of hope, because hope is not just, it won't stuck at the level of goal attainment. We find those obstacles we have, and then we explore on those obstacles and find ways to overcome them. Last time we have looked into the mastery, which is the goal attainment facet of hope. And today we will do some exercises on other aspects, on different levels of hope, these exercises are developed and created by Dr. Anthony Sholey. Follow along, listen, and reflect on your own situations. If you like the exercise or think that it's worth exploring more on this topic of yourself, you can do these exercises again and journal your answers when you're back at home or when you just find some quiet time with yourself. In fact, I encourage you to spend some time and practice them more because you will benefit from these reflections and through taking actions. And soon after, people around you would feel the change in you too. And the change in you would help them maintain hope as well. And if you like these exercises, of course, just share with your family, share with your friends, share with your neighbors, share with anyone that you feel they might benefit from it. So let's dive into these exercises. The first activity is to evaluate your hope priorities. Ideally, your hope foundation should be balanced. But many people are primarily mastery-oriented or survival-oriented. They may just focus on goal attainment or just coping with stress. Some are exclusively attachment-oriented. They love to set goals based on relationships and love. So what are your hope priorities? Are you primarily interested in achieving certain goals? Is your main focus on cultivating love and attachments? Are you a warrior who spends much of your time seeking comfort and relief from anxiety? Be careful in how you answer this question. Think clearly. Research shows that people who value a particular way of life, for example, love and attachments, or goal achievement, will nevertheless spend most of their waking hours pursuing a totally different outcome. For example, relief from stress. Now, you can do this exercise mentally, or if you have a pen or paper, just take it out, and on the piece of paper, you may want to ask yourself 2 questions. The first one, if I knew my life would end in 5 years, I would devote this remaining time to A. Giving and receiving more love. B. Accomplishing certain unfinished tasks and life goals. C. Finding a sense of peace and acceptance. Think about how you have spent your time and energy over the last 5 years of your life. And next to each of those 3 statements, place A. Love, B. Goals, or C. Peace to indicate how you have invested your resources. And these are the 3 statements. Most time and energy. Number 2, next most time and energy. Number 3, least amount of time and energy. So if you spend most of your time and energy on fulfilling your goals, your personal goals, then just next to most time and energy, put in the word goal. This activity will show you even when you hope for something a lot, the allocated time you spend on it might not be as much as you expected. There could be lots of excuses, lots of attractions obscuring your way. You thought you have fought hard enough for a certain area. But the truth might be that you didn't. And the light of hope just fades away as a result. So finding your hope priorities, monitor your energy spent on it, and build your hope strategies. Another activity is awakening your inner hope. And in this exercise, Dr. Anthony Sholey told us that although we are programmed for attachment, mastery, and survival, because these are the basic 3 needs we have since our infancy, it is possible for these motives to be suppressed by external circumstances. Stress, lack of support, failure, rejection, and other motive squashing experiences can force these needs into the dark unconscious. And research has shown that certain activities can actually arouse individual motives. And he offers some suggestions for arousing these needs for your attachment, mastery, and survival areas. So, let's talk about the attachment motive. How can you arouse this attachment motives so that you can further develop the hope for yourself, for your life? For attachment motive, we need to evoke loving feelings, and films can provide a very effective means of evoking these love feelings. He suggests that you can rent or tape a high-quality documentary that deals with selfless care for the needy. For example, you can just go to YouTube and type in Mother Teresa documentary or Princess Diana documentary, or find out some of their names that are doing charity a lot and have a cause for this society. He also said the best romantic films will also trigger feelings of love and attachment. And he suggests visiting the American Film Institute's site at www.greatersfilms.org for a listing of the top 100 romantic films. For mastery motive, his suggestion is to listen to inspirational speeches in order to arouse the power motive in you. For example, you can read, listen to, or watch an outstanding political speech. And if you prefer videos rent, tape, or buy a copy of one or more political leaders delivering their signature speech. Like in the previous episode, I have included the Martin Luther King signature speech in the show notes. Last year, I bought a book called Words of Wisdom, which is a compilation of famous and inspirational speeches around the globe from all walks of life. Some of them speeches that you may have listened to are from J.K. Rowling, Oprah Winfrey, Jeff Bezos, who is the founder of Amazon.com, Emma Watson, Malala Yousafzai, John F. Kennedy, talking about failure, self-doubt, gender equality, patriotism, business, history, inner wisdom, and confidence, and so much more life topics. I like listening to these speeches, and also I enjoy listening to interviews because you will learn from others' histories and get inspiring messages from them through hearing other success stories, whether it's through podcasts or TV shows. And Dr. Shirley actually suggested 2 options. There's a videotape called Great American Speeches, 80 Years of Political Oratory. And then there is an audio CD entitled Greater Speeches of the 20th Century. And I have put them Gender Equality, He for She speech by Emma Watson, and also Malala Yousafzai Nobel Peace Prize speech on the show notes page. You may want to check that out if you're interested in these inspirational speeches. Another source of inspirations that I suggest you to check out, it's to listen to TED Talks they have the greatest speakers talking about different topics that you'll find interesting. It's a source of inspiration. It broadens your knowledge base, and it just boosts up your confidence, because people that appear ordinary can actually go on stage and talk about amazing things that they're doing, what they invent, what they research, about just things they're passionate about on stage. Moving forward to survival, he talks about music. It's an especially powerful medium for reducing tension and to generate a feeling of wellness. There is evidence that ancient rituals, including drumming and chanting, would dampen the terror centers in the brain. For example, the amygdala, and increase the production of anxiety-blocking neurochemicals like GABA and serotonin, the neurotransmitters. Get yourself a good CD that features drums, flutes, pipes, or other ancient instrumentals. In fact, in episode 4 of Heavy Mind Travel, we talk about in which we talk about the meditative lifestyle. I have introduced an app called Atmosphere on Google Play, which is free on Google Play exclusively. Do download that app. I highly recommend that, and you can create a mix of sounds from the Oriental style tap, which can reduce your tension. They have sounds of flute, taiko, Japanese music, Chinese rituals music, the Om sounds, and just relaxing sounds. And speaking of music, I think songs with powerful lyrics can help us experience hope as well. And here are 2 songs that I love. One is the Fight song, sang by Rachel Patton, and the other one is Celine Dion's How Does a Moment Last Forever, which is also the featured song of Beauty and the Beast, the new Beauty and the Beast movie. The first time when I heard Fight song was when I was just watching an award ceremony. I forgot the name. Forgot which one is it, but Rachel Patton was performing live on that ceremony as a guest. And I was just walking to my room at that moment. And when I heard it, when I was listening to it, it's just amazing. I was listening, and just moments after, I already felt the energy and hope within, that my hopes are what's worth fighting for. There's a cause, and that there's a cause that I advocate and continue with. It would literally bring tears to your eyes. I have included that in the show notes page just for you to listen if you're interested. It's a very powerful song, so really check that out. And I also want to share with you a few lines of Celine Dion's new song, How Does a Moment Last Forever. The lyrics are just beautiful, and you will know why it will remind you of hope. So here it goes. How does a moment last forever? How can a story never die? It is love we must hold on to. Never easy, but we try. Sometimes our happiness is captured. Somehow our time and space stand still. Love lives on inside of our hearts and always will. Then when the shadow overtakes us, just when we feel all hope is gone, we'll hear our song and know once more. Our love lives on. Beautiful lyric, beautiful song. Check that out. I put it in the show notes as well. You know, hope is based on love and attachment. It signifies the trust we have in ourselves, in the people we love, and in the world we live in. In fact, Dr. Anthony Sholey suggested that the best way to impart hope is to be available, just to be available. When you provide access, consistency, and sensitivity to another, it reinforces the notion that goodness is present and the universe can be trusted. When you're absent, when you're unreliable and indifferent to the needs of another, it stalls the development of hope. And this is what we're talking about in psychology, in developmental psychology of Erik Erikson's theory. The stages of psychosocial development. There's a crucial stage called trust versus mistrust, in which infants till 18-month-old babies learn to trust others and learn to trust in themselves. For example, if the baby's crying for food or any kinds of needs that he or she has, if the parent or caregiver acknowledge their needs, then the infant or the babies will feel and gain the sense of trust in others and in the world as well, because they will know when they're in danger, when they want something, when they need the help of others, then others will come. People will come. But if the caregiver or the parent keep on ignoring the needs of the baby, then mistrust will be developed, because he will start to think that people just aren't paying attention to me. People just aren't acknowledging my needs. I'm just like nobody. I'm just like nowhere to be found. Even if I'm crying out loud for food, nobody really cares about it. So this is a crucial stage, trust versus mistrust, for babies from infancy to 18 months old. And this is called Erik Erikson's stages of psychosocial development. And of course, if the baby doesn't develop trust in himself or in herself or in others, then mistrust will grow, but there are ways that can build up hope and mistrust for the babies as well. It's just that the hope foundation is not that solid at that moment. And it might need more time for those people to develop a trust in the world, in others in the future. The third activity that I want to share with you, it's related to our faith system. It's related to our faith system because faith is the primary source of hope. It is valuable to test our faith. So there are 3 questions in this exercise, and you need to answer these questions with one of the following. Never, rarely, often, or very often. There's 4 answers for you. Never, rarely, often, or very often. So number 1, I have questioned or examined my faith. Number 2, over the years, I have seen my faith grow or change. Number 3, I make time to practice what I believe. Number 4, pause to reflect. Based on your answers from questions 1 through 3, where does your faith need work? Is it time for further examination? Perhaps your faith needs to grow. Are you practicing what you preach? When you reflect on your faith, you might start to see loopholes in it. Those areas that contradict with your core beliefs or actions that you might not know. And this might shake your faith system or belief system a lot in intense situations, in difficult times, and will affect your sense of hope. So have a check on your faith system and see how you could grow your faith. All these exercises that we have talked about just now could be found in Dr. Sholey's website, gainhope.com. That's GAINHOPE.com. There are many more valuable and helpful resources and activities on the website. I encourage you to take a look at those pages one by one. Take the Hope test there. There's an adult and also a teen version. So you might want to check that out with your children as well, or your teens as well, and see which areas of hope you need to work on. One side note, if you want to educate your children about hope and strengthen their hope sense, then there's also a child version of Hope test on the site and some hope tips for children. Dr. Shirley also talks about how your mentality of hope could influence your hopes, and how dream analysis could actually help us understand our hopes in order to make positive changes to our daily lives, and many more hope lessons that you would enjoy. It's the most comprehensive approach to hope that I've seen, and if you want to gain more knowledge on hope, I suggest you go to a section called Hope Archives, where he presents his academic research articles throughout the years, from measurement of hope to applications of hope-based therapies. Of course, I'll also put the videos of Dr. Shirley giving a brief introduction on what hope is, and also his view on hope in an interview, all in the show notes. Dr. Shirley has also a self-help hope guide called The Power of Hope, where he teaches you strategies for overcoming 9 kinds of hopelessness. So maybe hope abandonment or grief, how to deal with depression and suicidal thoughts and feelings, because hopelessness is actually very often associated with suicide rates in multiple psychological research. He also gives you advice on utilizing hope to manage the day-to-day, from work and relationships to serious illness, grief, or loss. Ways in which hope can impact your overall health, exercise, and diet. And he also provides you some hope self-assessments. It's not just the hope test, it's also testing your spiritual beliefs, or testing which spiritual type you are and what kinds of hopelessness you have inside yourself. He also include a hope provider and spiritual intelligence scale. So there are lots of self-assessments a lot of tests that you could do in that book, The Power of Hope. And of course, he would provide answers and exercises like the ones that we talked about just now to further develop your hope foundation so that it's solid, so that it won't collapse. It would more likely to buffer against the stress that you have in those situations. And I encourage you to first explore his website, gainhope.com, and read the hope lessons. He has 14 hope lessons, each with a hopeful tip to end with. Do the hope test, and then after you have a basic knowledge of the hope blueprint, then go for his book to learn more about hope, to learn more about case studies and stories of hope. Whether you're going through hardships or you want to prepare for future challenges, I think hope is an asset that we should treasure and that we should build upon. So definitely check out Dr. Anthony Shirley's book, The Power of Hope. Happy Mind Travelers, remember that our hopes are something worth fighting for. And no matter what you are or have been fighting for, always have hope in you. Because before the last petal fall, we still have a chance to fight back. I will leave you with a quote by Fernando Sabino. In the end, everything will be okay. If that's not okay, it's not yet the end. Hey, do you want to receive daily inspirations of hope and learn how definition cards could relate to your psyche? Join me on Instagram at Happy Mind Travel. This weekend, I will begin a cartomancy series of inner psyche and hope, showing you how to use and interpret different definition cards, different definition tools of hope that would inspire you with wonders and ancient wisdom. See you over on Instagram at Happy Mind Travel. If you're already seeing a medical advisor, counselor, or therapist, discuss these exercises with them. Always consult a professional when you think your situation needs one, and discuss your concerns with them. If you have any questions or feedback to this show, you can email me at Pauline@ourhappymindtravel.com, Or you can comment on the comment section in the show notes. And I've included the links that we've talked about today in the show notes. If you're interested, then visit ourhappymindtravel.com/morehope. That's ourhappymindtravel.com/morehope. You will also find the show notes link in the description section of this show, no matter which platform you are on now. And one big news, Happy Mind Travel is not only on iTunes now, it's on Stitcher and TuneIn also. If you want to receive the newest episode every week instantly, then subscribe to this show or add that to your playlist. Give yourself some time to read a story, listen to a song, or maybe watch a movie about hope before we travel to another one next week. Until then, Happy Mind Travelers, take it one day at a time and enjoy to be happy. Love you all and thanks for listening.